So here's my perspective. I was asked about this when I came to the south side of Chicago a year ago, and my position on this has not changed. I'm against race-based reparations because I think it will create more division, not less.
What about race-based discrimination that occurred in this country for?
Yeah, so let me just clarify one aspect.
Oh.
I think there was a time and place for it in the Reconstruction era. But today, when we actually bring back racial reparations, it actually causes greater discrimination, not more. I think we're seeing a rise in anti-black and I think other forms of racism in the country. But part of the reason I think we're seeing it is there's no better way to foster racial animus than to take something away from someone based on their skin color.
So no more black people justice because it'll make other people upset.
Well, because it's going to create more division and be self-defeating. I think it's actually going to set black Americans back because it will cause.
But black Americans continue to live in that zone.
I want to move out of I want to move out of the middle of this just because I feel like this. So let me say this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not going to be able to solve. You are not going to.
Okay, so y'all just heard that clip right there, and I have to give a shout out to Kid Gravity because he was the first person I saw show this. It was a live stream that he recently did, and he said, "Torian, I have to show you this," and I said, "Okay." After he showed it to me, I said, immediately send that to me because I'm definitely going to have my take on it. So as you can see right here, just on the headline alone, it says Vivek Ramaswamy, or as I like to call him, Ramen Noodles. It's been a while since I talked about him. Joins protesters outside the DNC. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, why in your position are you even out there with them? You should be the one that's mainly against them or whatever the case may be, considering your position. So that right there alone just raised red flags. But that's minor compared to what we're going to talk about here today. The topic of reparations came up, and the way that he phrased it, he was all the way inaccurate because he brought up reparations based on race, and he said racial reparations, which let me just say to y'all right now is not a thing. Because to say racial reparations, that means everybody under the umbrella of black would be able to get in on it. If they, especially, and then you have people under that who don't even qualify. It is not race-based reparations. It is lineage-based reparations. And he knows that, but he just playing up for the camera, and that's what he's doing right here. So he literally just said that, we can't do anything, based on race or race-based reparations and all this, that, and the third. And then he starts to go into a tirade about how he came over here like a year ago and saying how it would be wrong and how it would be, how certain people's feelings would be hurt. Really, all in all, when it gets boiled down to it, what Ramen Noodle is saying, if it hurts a certain group's feelings when it comes to reparations, then we need to make sure that we coddle them and make sure that we completely push to the side. Well, not even to the side, but push to the back the people who qualify for reparations, and make sure that we keep everybody who wears their heart on their sleeves and their feelings squared center in the front. And the thing is, what he's saying is no different than what we have heard from other groups of people. That's why I don't take anything serious from PC when they're saying, oh, why do we have to pay for it? Oh, I'm not going to pay for it, or my taxes. And I'm like, it wouldn't come from you. And they know that it will come from the US government. Notice how all these other groups get all this funding and all of that stuff. But then when it comes to us, then it's always this pushback. And he literally said the quiet part out loud. Honestly, they've been very vocal about it in so many words of saying that it's going to hurt other people's feelings and how would it benefit us. This guy literally sat up there on camera and in so many words say that resources and tangibles for black Americans would not benefit us, or somehow, some way it would end up hurting us. And shout out to the reporter that was asking him those questions, because she literally was within like 3 questions that she asked was able to pull the truth out of him. She was able to pull how he really felt out of him. Now keep in mind, Ramen Noodles is Indian. He's not white by any measure, but he has no problem doing their bidding. And that's the common thing of a lot of grifters, is that they will do the bidding of a certain group of people so they don't catch the slings and arrows. He also mentioned how there was a time and place for when the reparations discussions was to be had or for it to be divvied out, and that was during Reconstruction. If y'all are unaware with Reconstruction, that was supposed to be a great time for our ancestors to, literally get back on their feet, considering all the stuff they've been through for hundreds of years. But it wasn't a great time at all. It wasn't. It just simply wasn't. And just go read up on Reconstruction and you can see how that was an even bigger detriment to our people than it was for anybody else. And then again, he also brought up about how it will cause division. Every time something is supposed to be laid out for us specifically, it's always somehow, some way causing division. Every single time, whenever we demand something, now it's called division. You know why they keep saying that? Is because they've literally carved out our lot in life where we should be just fine being on the bottom in this system. And we're not supposed to elevate for higher than what we are. Like, if for us, the ceiling that they have for us is very, very low, and we're not supposed to break through it. Granted, there will be some that will break through and literally take off like a rocket to the moon. But as a collective, that's not supposed to happen, and they're going out of their way to do any and everything possible in order to make that happen. I mean, look at what's going on with the South of the Bordarians right now, and look at how all these policies they're kicking in for them to literally leapfrog over us in order to do that. They would sell this establishment to the highest bidder than to see us thrive collectively as far as creating generational wealth, having businesses and having land. I mean, look at all the stuff that those black farmers had to go through for years and kind of in a way still going through right now. This goes back decades. This goes back even before Jim Crow was a thing. That's how long it's been happening. And you have this dude right up here who is first generation born to two Indian immigrant parents, trying to tell us what we should and should not demand, as if he's the voice, like as if he's our voice. No way, no how is Ramen Noodle ever gonna be the voice for our people. It just ain't happening. But I think the thing that really got me the most in this whole thing was when he said us demanding or receiving reparations and tangibles was going to set us back. He literally said it. Now, if you remember in the audio, he said racial reparations in the beginning, or any reparations based on race. But when he was asked about about reparations again, he said Black Americans. So he was very specific about what he said.
Give Black people justice because it'll make other people upset.
Well, because it's going to create more division and be self-defeating. I think it's actually going to set Black Americans back because it will cause.
But Black Americans continue to live in that South.
I had to bring that clip back in just so y'all could hear it again, exactly what he said. He said that it will be self-defeating. He said it will be divisive if Black Americans got reparations, because again, it'll hurt other people's feelings. It'll set us back. I didn't know getting resources was supposed to set us back, but it's supposed to propel us forward. So he's literally telling you right there to our face what he really thinks. And the thing is, he's not even speaking simply just of himself. He is speaking of himself, but as a collective, as a PC of who he caters to the most, that is what a lot of them collectively think. They do not want us to thrive, because if we got tangibles and we got reparations, that means we can move forward through life without them. And what they don't want to happen is for that to occur. They want to always keep us under their proverbial thumb, to make sure they can keep tabs on us, to make sure they keep eyes on us. They want to make sure that we're not doing something out of the ordinary, or in their eyes, in their paranoia, that we're going to do something that's going to affect their way of life. They are that fearful that if we get reparations and tangibles, that we are going to be able to go on through life without them. And an even bigger nightmare for them is to surpass them. So he literally said all of that right there in a minute and 6 seconds. And notice the white guy that's standing there with the earpiece. Now it's like at that point, he's trying to shoo the person away, or he's trying to get away from it, because now he's even realizing that Ramen Noodles is saying too much. He's revealing the secrets, so to speak. the thing is, many of us already knew what it was, but you know what? It's fine when we can hear it from the horse's mouth. Just like when I talked about Candace admitting her grift, that she was only allowed and encouraged to talk down and punch down on Black Americans. We already knew that, but when you hear it from the person who's doing it, it makes it play itself out a whole lot differently. So shout out to the woman that was asking these questions, because she basically pulled these things out of Ramen Noodle to say that many of us probably never heard him say before. And it also tells you what many of them think of us behind closed doors. But you know, nowadays they just can't help themselves. They gonna really put out there what they want to say about us without so-called fear or persecution or backlash. But yeah, but we're not surprised by this, because Ramen Noodle's been anti-Black ever since he first stepped on the scene with all the stuff that he has said. So there you have it right there. I can't wait to hear what y'all have to say about this down in the comments. I know y'all probably are about to go in, and I can't wait to see what y'all got to say.